City of Syracuse Board of Assessment Review. It is Tuesday morning, February 27th. My apologies, I was running a little late this morning. Let's do a roll call. I am Joe Saya.
Sue Straub.
Michael Bavines.
Donna Moore.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder, these meetings are recorded and they're live on YouTube, just an FYI. It looks like the first property is 620-24 South Salina Street. Yeah. You can come right up and have a seat. How are you? Thank you. So I'm just going to swear you in this morning, and I'll have the assessor sworn in at this time as well. So yes, if you can raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Major Charles Francis Roberts.
And Gallagher.
Does everyone swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, so we have, if you can just lower that just a little bit, great, thank you. 620-24 South Salina Street. Let me just read a little information in. Is this an exemption?
It's entire days. Yes.
Entire days exemptions, and is this a full exemption? Okay. So once again, 620-24 South Salina Street. This is a parking lot. Current tentative assessed value, $130,000 with a land value of $118,000. That would be a market value of $208,000. And the petitioner doesn't list anything for market value. I understand that this is a application for a full exemption. And that's about it. So let me turn it over to you, sir.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
This is our overflow parking lot for our staff. It has no commercial use at all. Leases are not given for spaces. It is simply our staff overflow parking.
This is the Salvation Army.
Correct.
Yeah, it's well, overflow, I guess. It's been vacant for a long time. The property as a nonprofit exemption is used at least once.
You're saying it isn't used?
It hasn't been used that we have seen, our assessors have seen.
Okay. And there was an application put in, and it was denied because of that. And has it been exempt before?
Yes.
For a long time? Okay. So it's overflow parking. Is it being used?
Sporadically, very sporadically.
Okay.
But it is used. It'll be used this coming week. We have a large event coming, and we'll have parking there later this week.
How close is it to your location?
It's about half a block or so. Yeah, it's easy to walk to.
Okay, okay. So, I haven't been by it. What is this, where you have them come in under oath and say it's used, or?
Yeah, I think we can't contradict that. Our staff certainly haven't laid eyes on it 365 days. Vacant, but representation is used.
Okay. All right, so, we're not making any decisions today, but, you have said it's, being used and has been used sporadically, and, that sounds like it's okay as far as the city is concerned. So we'll make some notes, and then the city will send you a notice first week of April. Okay.
And I just certainly, so this week, you think, during the day, or are we
Yeah.
talking week? Because maybe we'll just verify
Well,
that.
March 7th, we're having an event
Okay.
and we'll have some overflow parking there. Especially because there's construction going on at the STEAM school, and also construction on our roof is going on, so we will be using that overflow parking.
How much, now you're saying it's for staff. I'll just stay on it for a second, and I know where we're going, but obviously everybody likes to park close to the building. How much staff do you have?
We have 200 staff.
200 staff, all there during the day?
They're in and out during the day.
In and out.
Some are in the remote locations, but our total number of employees is about 200.
At the home location, how many people?
About 150.
About 150, and how much parking is right around the building?
Well, we have two lots. We have the Salina Street lot, and then there's the Warren Street lot. There is, most of the time, there's enough parking. It's just when we have large events like the one we're going to have that we tend to use the
Okay,
overflow.
because you had said it's overflow for staff.
Yeah, well-
So you make the staff park out there?
Right, and the visitors will
And then
park. Mm-hmm.
the visitors park there? Okay, makes sense. Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, thanks.
Hello there. You were late. I just saw you come in. Where you been? Okay. Next up, it looks like we have Lemoyne College. Yeah, come on up. Good, how about you?
Good, good.
Good. So you're representing, this is Finn's Management?
Correct.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. And so, well, yeah, I'm gonna kind of confirm that, but probably. So, let me swear you in first. I'll ask a couple questions, then we'll figure out if we're reading them in individually or all as one package. So if you could both raise your right hands, state your name for the record.
Joe Grasso?
Do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Let me just ask some questions on what I may or may not know. Were these recently purchased?
They were in July of 2023.
Okay, July of 2023, all of these were purchased as a package deal?
Correct.
Okay. So is the argument the same for all of them?
It is, yes.
Okay. So I think that what I should do is read them all in, and then I'll turn it over to you. I'll go to the city, I'll come back to you.
Great.
How's that sound?
Thanks.
All right, I'm just gonna read it, I'm not gonna write anything as far as this stuff is concerned, so if you guys can do that, that'd be great. And what I'll do is I'll do them in the order. Are these in the order that they are on the sheet, Michelle? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna read them in, and they'll go in line with the order that we have on the sheet. So 102 Phillips Road. This is student housing. Now, it's a commercial building, is it?
Well, it's student housing, just like all of our other residence halls on campus.
Okay, is this a single-family house?
Yes.
All right, so it's a single-family house, but it's student housing. And were these leases that were in place already? What, generally?
Yes, so when we acquired the houses, all 20 houses had pre-existing leases from the landlord that we purchased the houses from.
Okay,
So-
all right. So they're all existing leases, and they all term up in May?
Well, they, on a staggered basis, but in that May, June, July timeframe of this year, they will all term. And there's a total of about 80 to 85 individuals living in these 20 houses.
Okay, okay. And this is Finn's management. Why wasn't it just purchased under Lemoyne College?
Well, that's a great question. And we provided in this, I don't know if you want to get to this now, but we've provided our, the Secretary of State provided us with a 501c3 that we created. And the purpose of the 501c3, we did this much like other colleges and universities do. So in the SUNY system, if you go to SUNY Geneseo, each of the SUNY colleges has their own nonprofit corporation that does housing, dining, and other auxiliary services. So we also included, I can give this to you too. Oh, you got that, great. But by creating this, we felt that we could separately manage these houses. It's a wholly owned 501c3 of the college, and it can also do other things besides hold real estate. So we can do athletic events, we can do executive education, work with government agencies. It's meant to be kind of a flexible place to do other things, but fully a charitable and educational 501c3, wholly owned by Lemoyne College. And that state, the Secretary of State's certifications is part of this.
Okay. All right, we'll go through this. All right, let me get back into reading in, and then we'll take it from there. So again, 102 Phillips Road. This is student housing. It's a single-family house. Current tentative assessed value, 140,000. Yes, 140,000 with a land value of 14,700. That'd be a market value of $224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 184,000, but the claimed exemption is zero because, or the claimed assessment is zero because of you're looking for a full exemption.
Correct.
Okay. 109 Phillips Road. Again, student housing, current tentative assessed value 140,000 with a land value of 14,300. That would be a market value of $224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 176,000, but again, a full exemption. 110 Phillips Road. Student housing once again. Current tentative assessed value 140,000 with a land value of 14,700. That'd be a market value of 224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 238,000 and a full exemption. These market values, is this how you allocated?
Yes.
What everything was worth, probably based on square footage, or?
Correct. And the 20 houses were purchased for a total amount of $2 million. And then our attorneys, both for the seller and the buyer, allocated the purchase price based on square footage, assessed values, and other methodologies that they used. Yeah.
Okay, 115 Phillips Road. So I have a current tentative assessed value of 135,000 here with a land value of 10,800. That would be a market value of 216,000. You had 140 for some reason, but 115, 135, 216. 117 Phillips Road. Current tentative assessed value 140,000, the land value of 10,800. That'd be a market value of 224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 189,000. Assessment 0. $118 Melbourne. Okay, current tentative assessed value 74,000 with a land value of 11,600. Petitioner believes that equates to a fair market value of 118,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 219,000 for the full exemption request. 136 Melbourne Ave. We have a current tentative assessed value of $80,000 with a land value of 11,600. That would be a market value of 128,000. And petitioner believes the fair market value is 196,000. A full exemption request. $142 Melbourne. Current tentative assessed value 84,000 with a land value of 11,600. That would be a market value of 134,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 156,000. And land assessment is 0. $143 Melbourne Ave. Current tentative assessed value of 86,300 with a land value of 11,600. That would be a market value of $138,080. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 219,000 with a full exemption request. 201 Harwood Ave. Current tentative assessed value of 70,600 with a land value of 10,600. That would be a market value of 112,960. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 157,000 with a assessed value of 0 claim. Uh, 209 Fayette Boulevard. Once again, all these are student housing. Current tentative assessed value 82,400 with a land value of 8,000. That would be a market value of 131,840. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $155,000. Claimed assessment, 0. Next property, 254 Fayette Boulevard. Student housing, once again. Current tentative assessed value, $81,900 with a land value at $10,000. That would be a market value of $131,040. Petitioner believes the market value is $133,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. .400 Fayette Boulevard. Current tentative assessed value $88,000 with a land value of $11,000. That would be a market value of $140,800. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $186,000. And claimed assessment is 0. 609 Salisbury Park Drive. Current tentative assessed value $73,500 with a land value of $12,200. That would be a market value of $117,600. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $136,000. Assessment of 0. Student housing, once again, 612 Audubon Parkway. Current tentative assessed value $98,600 with a land value of $11,900. That would be a market value of $157,760. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $226,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. Student housing, once again, 630 Audubon Parkway. Current tentative assessed value $85,100 with a land value of $11,900. That would be a fair market value of $136,160. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $165,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. 1125 Salt Springs Road. Petitioner believes the fair market, the claimed assessment is $96,200 with a land value of $17,700. That would be a fair market value of $153,920. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $449,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. I'm losing my track of mind because I got a lot of things to say before you say anything.
Okay.
So,
Yep. Going through each of those it's a lot.
oh yeah,
So,
yes. Well, that's only the half of it.
Yep.
1474 Salt Springs Road. Student housing, $140,000 current tentative assessment with a land value of $18,000. That would be a market value of $224,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $242,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. 1600 Salt Springs Road. We have a current tentative assessed value of 120,000 with a land value of 13,200. That would be a market value of 192,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 195,000. Last property, 1606 Salt Springs Road. Current tentative assessed value 120,000 with a land value of 13,200. That would be a market value of 192,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is 229,000 with a claimed assessment of 0. So let me say a few things. Yeah, I probably should get this on record. So, you know, anything that's said here, don't take the wrong way. It's nothing personal.
Sure.
Linda is a neighbor of mine, very nice lady, great president, all that good stuff. The last couple years prior to these guys, didn't the prior owner come in and say his property was worth nothing? And then he sells it for $2 million. So anyway, that's a little bothersome. The other thing that, and this is just my opinion, and I think laws need to be changed. You know, you're looking to take these properties off the tax roll. If you can do it legally, we're gonna find out. But it bothers the hell out of me. And, you know, every city taxpayer for some reason. Doesn't Syracuse University pay some sort of, you know, stipend or whatever to the city in lieu of taxes or, you know? I thought there was something on the books.
I believe there's a contractual agreement that has the university paying something to the city.
Is there anything with Lemoyne College as far as that's concerned? Okay. Anyway, all right. So, you know, we have this stuff that we have to go through. And I don't know if holes can be poked in it, but we're certainly going to try.
Sure.
So let me turn it over to you.
Great. Well, thanks for going through this, and thanks for everyone's time today. We realize that, Lemoyne realizes that over 50% of the property in Syracuse is tax exempt, and that's difficult for your municipal budget. We understand that. And I wish that there was some sort of way to have some sort of intermediate arrangement where, you know, something between full tax exemption and paying your property taxes, because there should be something. I was told, you know, the colleges would be interested in finding some sort of arrangement when you mentioned pilot payments, payment in lieu of taxes, a service level agreement, or something else. We're amenable to that. We were told that that shouldn't necessarily be discussed here, but if there's other venues for that to be discussed, we're happy to engage. And, you know, this quote from Linda about the Lemoyne College being an anchor to the city and to the Salt Springs neighborhood, we take it seriously. And, you know, our college wants to do its part in promoting and supporting the city. So the laws are the laws, I guess, as we all interpret them. But I just wanted to make a few comments on some of these things, if that's okay. Okay. And I'm sympathetic with
Yeah,
what your
again, we have to
concerns
do
are.
the right thing and follow the laws.
Right.
It's just, you know, we got to try to have a viable city, which
We do.
you're in.
You're exactly right. And we're interested in that too. And if there's other venues for these conversations to happen, we're happy to have them. But
Great.
what I'll say though, just from whether it's a point of law, policy, or approach on these properties, there are many colleges in New York State, and I'm thinking of Union College in Schenectady, New York, Colgate University, Cornell. They formed corporations to buy houses around their property, around their campus. And oftentimes, like in Union College in Schenectady, that was a very difficult neighborhood, much worse than the Salt Springs neighborhood. And they converted them into student housing, they invested, and I believe they're tax exempt. But they created a corporation to do that. So the Finns Corporation that we created, really, it's completely, there's really no difference between Lemoyne College and this corporation. It's a wholly owned subsidiary with a full tax exemption. We could have easily bought these houses through Lemoyne College. We thought we would create this corporation to do other engagements on other things, not just housing, but other areas. And all the SUNY campuses, the 64 campuses. OCC has their 501c3, SUNY Geneseo, ESF. So it's a common thing that's used throughout the state. But we feel like, we do support a large payroll. We have 1,600 people on our payroll at Lemoyne. 500 of them are city residents, about 30%. We also had the option when we were approached, and we didn't look to buy these, by the way. For the record, Lemoyne wasn't saying, oh, gee, we want to buy 20 houses. The previous landlord, who was a Lemoyne alum, came to us and said, I have these 20 houses. He had owned them roughly for 10 years or around that time period. He had other buyers, these people from New York City or others in Syracuse who could have been disreputable landlords, and we know that the city has dealt with disreputable landlords. Lemoyne did not want these houses to fall into that sort of situation where you have someone just taking rent and not giving back to the community. So we felt that to buy these was an important thing to stabilize the neighborhood. In the city of Syracuse, the housing report that you all did, which was really outstanding, this neighborhood, Salt Springs, is, I think, rated a 3. And that means it could either deteriorate and go into the 1 and 2 categories and deteriorate, or go up and move up into the 4 or 5. So the whole neighborhood around H.W. Smith School, Sewell Library, et cetera, we're in a very transition point. And we also look at the lands report, and your planning department did a great job with this. It was a city, state, town of DeWitt, and Lemoyne funded project. And it looked at, it was rating the houses too in this neighborhood. And I provided some data here that there's a number of houses in the neighborhood that are tax delinquent, vacant. And so our whole purpose was really to stabilize the neighborhood. The college also has 100 vacant residence halls on our campus, residence rooms. So by adding 80 to 85 rooms, we really didn't want to do it to make money. We did it to stabilize the neighborhood. We could easily sell these houses, put them back on the tax rolls. We may actually choose to do that with some of these because they're further away from the campus. The former owner wanted us to, he was marketing it as a bundle of properties. So we may sell some of these in the near future. Having said that, we had 100 vacant apartments on our campus, so we weren't looking to try to just do this as a money thing at all. The other thing is that we've invested in the property. So in how many months has it been? 8 months, if I can count. But about 8 months, we've put in about $225,000. The previous landlord had students in the basement apartments without proper egress. 11 of the 20 houses had egress issues. We've repaired, in the last couple months, 10 of those 11 apartments. And if there were students in the basements, we've moved them out. So now, as we rent for the next fall, they can be in the basements. They're very kind of spacious, nice apartments, but now they're fully legally compliant, except for one house where we have some other issues that we have to deal with. So that's something that was important.
When you say they're legally compliant, these are single-family houses?
They are, with 4 to 5 people in the house.
4 to 5 people in the house. And from a code standpoint, you worked with codes as far as all this stuff is concerned?
Well, we knew the code and we did the work according, I don't know exactly what our head of facilities did with, we believe they're code compliant, yes. We read the codes. There are either doors or windows that have to be installed, and so that there's an appropriate means of egress to each of these basement apartments.
Okay. Do they have to have C of As on these things with people in the basement?
I don't think, well, boy, don't want to stray too far out of our lane. C of Cs, I think. Well, I mean, if permits were pulled, there should be a CFO. Really drifting into acronym territory. C of As, I think, no.
Were permits
CFOs
pulled
and
and all that good stuff?
I don't know. I don't know. We've done the work, and we did it in accordance with what, part of it was a simple making a window opening that was maybe 1 foot, whatever, to make it compliant, make it whatever I think it was a 2 foot, right, so that people could
Right,
exit the area.
okay. That'll have to defer to legal or what have you, but it's probably something that should be addressed. Okay,
The other thing that was in the lands report, though, is that there's a bunch of houses that are rated 4, 5, and 6s, and there's another little thing in I think on page 5, but we show that some of the houses are going downhill in the neighborhood. So by investing in it, we show that Lemoyne cares, we're investing. The other thing that's important, I think, in the tax exemption is that every single one of these tenants, the roughly 80 to 85 tenants here, they're all Lemoyne students. So we're not renting to anyone else. They have to abide by Lemoyne rules. Our facilities people take care of these properties. It's a mix of our own forces plus contract forces maintaining the facilities. So there's really no difference, and they're all Lemoyne students. The other thing that's important, on the top of page 2, we mentioned we have 18 other houses. There's partly in DeWitt, some are in DeWitt, the town of DeWitt, some are in the city of Syracuse. All those houses have been exempt for, decades. And then the college has really invested. So when we talk about, are we doing our fair share? We took the Lemoyne Plaza, which is right behind the Sewell Library, and we spent $2.1 million to renovate that. And that's being used by Erie 21, something that the city and the county have supported. We bring kids in from school districts throughout the city and the county to do entrepreneurial stuff. We have a contract to teach people how to fly drones out of that facility. So that's one thing. There's a vacant firehouse, if people know the neighborhood, right to the left of or east of H.W. Smith High School. We're going to spend $2 million to renovate that. We want to create a coffee house on the bottom floor of the firehouse, invite neighbors in, do after-school programs with H.W. Smith and other places, and make it a community hub. There's not a single place where you can go to get a cup of coffee in that neighborhood that's public. So that's another thing. And then finally, we're looking at hiring a community engagement and property coordinator. I'm just going to be honest, I don't have to say this in this hearing, but some of our students in 4 of the houses, there's been some not very kind student behavior, and we've tried to discipline those students, and we're hiring a community coordinator to deal with those issues. And as we get this next crop of students in for the fall, we're able now, instead of just accepting the landlord students that we had to accept, we'll have our own students in there who will be well-behaved and be part of a community. So I want to be very honest about that. It's not been easy. It's not been simple. And then working with the H.W. Smith School, we have a lot of activity there. It's one of the most diverse middle school. It's an extremely diverse middle school. I think 20 languages spoken there, and our students go up there to tutor students. We do a lot of work in the neighborhood, the Block Blitz. We have a guaranteed mortgage program for our regular faculty and staff, where they can buy a house in this neighborhood without any down payment. So we want to expand that. So that's why we bought the houses. We bought the houses to stabilize the neighborhood. If that neighborhood is not stabilized, it's bad for Lemoyne. And the crime that has happened and other things in there, it's not been terrible, but it's not been perfect either. So
Do you have anything more recent than that?
no, because this was this was done from the report that the city and the town and Lemoyne funded. So I don't. I mean,
This is 2020.
yeah,
You know, it
it's
doesn't
an
do us-
example though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what I had available. If there's other things that we can do too, that the college can do to support the city,
Well, here, you know,
we wanted,
yeah, I'm one person, okay? But before I grant anything, I want to see that, right? So, you know, there's 4 other people on this board, you know, it's a majority. But I think it would have been a little better if you went to the table first and tried to make an arrangement with the city as opposed to asking for full exemptions and so on and so forth. That's just me. I think it would have been more good faith to do it that way than asking the city to fully exempt and then we'll sit down.
well, actually, again,
Kind of,
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, Matt.
we're kind of victims of, well, before I get a chance to use a lot of words, disentangling the legal and the policy concerns here. We're kind of victims of the real property tax law. Prospective granting of an exemption really would never have been on the table. So I do think that everybody at Lemoyne was very communicative with a lot of folks in this building, including assessment, I think. Certainly prior to the purchase on the part of Lemoyne on the second floor, and certainly right around the time of closing with us. But we couldn't make any representations at that time as it relates to nonprofit exemptions. So we're just kind of stuck going through the process that you all are accustomed to seeing us.
Mr. Sun, yeah, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, that's,
You know, we wanted to, and we had conversations with a number of people, and we were told that if we came here and suggested a pilot payment or some other service level agreement, that would be inappropriate, that we had to deal with the matters at hand.
All right.
But we had a number of conversations, I don't know if I should say with whom, but with multiple some elected officials, some people in the mayor's office, the administration, and we're interested in doing that. But we were told that we shouldn't do that. So
Right,
that's,
and procedure-wise, come
I-
here, and no issues.
I get
but,
where you're coming from.
I
though.
just
We're-
hate to, you know, grant something and then things never get done.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
And I'm not, that has nothing to do with you personally,
Sure,
it's
sure.
just life in politics.
We've proposed some things, and we want this. There's a public policy issue at hand. It's financial, and it's about fairness and about for taxpayers.
Is Linda involved in this? Because I think she would be
She's in-
very good.
Well, sure she is. Yeah,
Yes,
and we've had.
but I mean,
we've had
is
high
she at
level-
the table?
Well, we've had high-level conversations where President Lemura and other city officials have been in the same room together discussing these issues. So yes, she has. She knows we're here today, and
Tell her I said hi.
I will.
Okay, so if it's okay, I'll go over to the city and then we'll come back to you.
so yeah, I think we're in a position where we do want to compartmentalize our nuanced take on this. From a policy perspective, I think Megan and Joe have been thoughtful and persistent and really thorough putting this together and keeping us in the loop. I think the spirit of what they're doing is unimpeachable. There's a reason I think that you and the former 17th Ward assessor back there really remember the slumlord from whom they purchased this portfolio.
Yes, and it's no reflection on
Thanks,
you.
that's
and
what I'm
it's
driving
just-
at, yeah.
Yes.
They inherited of their own volition a kind of bad situation, but something that was obviously a bad situation for the city, for the residents of those properties, and for the long-suffering neighbors over there who have dealt with the increasing encroachment of investor-owned and under-maintained properties. So this, I think Lemoyne is on the cusp of doing something really positive for the neighborhood. But downstairs in assessment, we're constrained by the RPTL, looking at the use of the property on tax status date, not next January, not last July, but on tax status date. And then there's the ownership consideration too. But as far as the use goes, on January 1st of 23, Darren owned properties with 85 market rate leases, identities of lessees, mostly Lemoyne students, maybe all Lemoyne students, but generally not limited to that universe of renters. January 1st of 24, exact same situation exists, different ownership, assessments, no exemption is warranted. That's just the unsentimental legal view. Obviously, we're keeping an ongoing dialogue with Lemoyne and things.
So am I hearing your position is that?
We remain opposed to the exemption, while appreciating that a lot of policy concerns here. Above all else, the fairness and equity concern. We don't think the exemption is warranted. But going forward, we really do seek to work with Lemoyne to see exactly what we can do to best benefit the corporation of the city of Syracuse, first and foremost, but certainly the neighborhood over there, in which Lemoyne has made a pretty major investment.
Okay, so the 501c3, John, are our hands tied, or it has nothing to do with?
Well, it's a use case right now. The ownership is interesting. As Joe notes, this is not an uncommon vehicle around the state. One thing that's near and dear to my heart, Colgate University, the Hamilton Initiative has made major investments. Analogous to Finn's, probably, the degree to which a rural Madison County village and the city of Syracuse are analogous is another question. But the Hamilton Initiative, I believe, is a 501c3. I believe is tax liable for all their properties down there. Can't presume to know whether its management would find that a tenable situation. But no, the long-winded way of saying
Did you say Colgate, they're paying taxes on those properties?
yes, exempt, I believe, on all of Colgate-owned properties, tax liable on all the Hamilton Initiative-owned properties.
Oh, okay.
Actually, they're below market. So we are charging, this coming fall, we're charging $7,700 for the 2-semester lease. Our cheapest double room, your question's great. Our cheapest double room on campus is at $10,000. So these are below market. These are almost $3,000 below market at the moment. Yep. So we're not, that's an important thing.
So just a distinction, your least expensive is 10,000
On campus.
On campus in the dorm.
Correct.
And does that include meal plan?
No,
No.
it does
That's
not.
strictly.
Just the room.
Room and 7,700. Okay.
$700 a month for an 11-month lease. The lease is actually longer in these Finn's houses. We're providing, I think, 1 extra month of lease, and it's still, $2,300.
The neighborhood outside of East Bend property.
$550 to $590 a bedroom is probably about, that's about right? $550 to $600 a bedroom, I think, is market over there, depending on condition, all that.
I mean, the market, yeah, I'm sorry.
It is a good distinction between room and rent, though. I think Those renting by the bedroom are market participants. Those charging 11-month room are institutional.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
I mean, you go to Comstock Ave or SU, and the rents are much, much higher, I mean, as we all know. So I think it's a pretty modest, I think it fits the neighborhood. It's also relatively modest, but much cheaper than what we're charging on campus.
Yeah, there's a lot of things involved.
There is no analog to this in the city of Syracuse that we've seen, that Ann's seen in all the years administering our exemptions. Which
And
it's tough on us, but it does provide a lot of opportunity for us to learn and adapt going forward. But just on January 1st of this year, we think that's a tough.
You said some properties that you own are in the town of DeWitt, and how are they titled?
You mean titled in terms of, they're
Ownership.
titled for Lemoyne College, not Finn's. So
Okay.
that we bought those, well, we've been buying them periodically.
Throughout the past, I would say, 10 to 12 years, we've purchased different houses across DeWitt, City of Syracuse, and they have been also used as student housing. It's a
Right.
little bit of a different housing situation for students because we used to have and still have our townhouses, and then we have a couple apartment type setups that we have for students. But the houses, students really like because it's just that extra living experience that you wouldn't get from a dorm, a townhouse, or one
Oh,
of our
yeah, no, I
apartments.
get that. I was just trying to distinguish the purchase under Lemoyne College versus this Finn's entity.
I mean, to get to your bottom line, and if there's an opportunity to find another way forward that's in a compromise situation, which is both good for the city and good for the college,
Yeah, I think
we're
that's,
eager to do that. And we've had a really cooperative relationship with the city. The city did a whole bunch of work in terms of sidewalks. It was part of this lands survey and study that was done that it should be more walkable, and we want that. So we paid for some of the sidewalks. The city did the bulk of the work, but we supported some of that.
Yeah,
We're looking for
definitely.
opportunities to collaborate.
Sure, absolutely, and I think the city is too, so that's good. Anything else you want to add?
I think it's hard to make a distinction, though, between our on-campus housing, our other 18 houses that we own, and these, that they really are all the same. So I find it hard to understand the argument of why these would be different. And whether it's owned by Finn's Management or Lemoyne, they're one and the same sort of corporation. So that's, I guess, our closing statement.
I didn't encounter this in the grievance, and I don't know if it totally bears on this, but out of curiosity, the existing city of Syracuse residential houses, single-family houses, owned prior to this portfolio purchase, do those get let out on a room basis or
Esteem.
a more traditional lease basis?
They're really assigned by our housing unit.
Sure.
They'll be the same process. They're
Very
part of a
similar to
housing
what
lottery.
These are going
So
to
they're
be.
part of the dorm housing structure, essentially. So you can be assigned just like you are a dorm, and all the payment structure for the Lemoyne-owned 18 houses is the same as our dorm, townhouse, all of those properties.
Per school year amount, not a monthly rent.
Yes.
These are not, you don't pay room and board and then get assigned to one of these new houses.
It's a separate lottery, so it's going to be a similar type process. You have to like apply to our housing department in order to be able to be put in one of these houses. We are also expanding our housing portfolio to graduate students. It's something that we have heard a need for and something that we haven't been able to offer because of just the amount of students undergraduate we've had in our current housing. So the Finn's houses have allowed us to expand to graduate students, and it's been very well received from the community.
Some of our graduate students are finding it hard to find affordable housing in Syracuse, so they decide not to come. So part of these Finn's Management houses, we feel like would be great for graduate students. The other thing is that we are going to be, They do not. They do not. They want to be on their own, which we all would. But the other thing is that we're going to be billing the students, these FINS houses, the 20 that are under discussion now, we're going to be billing them through the typical bill where you get your tuition, room, and board. And so the students, these houses will be eligible if the students are on financial aid or your 529 plan, you know, if a parent's saving money for your kids to go to school,
They're going to be part of their student accounts essentially
Exactly.
moving forward.
just like you're living on campus in a dorm.
A separate process, but same billing situation essentially as our on-campus living houses.
That's our major obstacle. It's not the only one, but it might be the greatest.
Well, thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you
and
very much for coming in.
Good discussion, and
Yes, oh, yeah. No,
We
it was-
appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure that things will be able to be worked out going forward.
if there's conversations to be had on an alternative, you know, we're happy. We're just seeking the best guidance because we don't want to be disruptive to what you have in place. We don't want to overstep. So if there's people to discuss the alternative arrangements, we're happy to have those discussions. So, good. All right.
Very good.
Well, thanks.
And we'll send, the city will
Thanks,
send a
sir.
bunch of notices first week of April.
Is that when? Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then we'll go from
Good. All right. Thanks for the
Thank
time,
you very
everyone.
much.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Is he representing them? Oh, I didn't know anything about that.
I mean,
Well, it's hiding, just nested under the other one. He doesn't have his chair section.
Yep.
It was 20.
Yeah,
One
but it,
plus,
yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. When they go all in order, it's easy. Where's our next person?
Yeah, I think that should have a discussion. Yep. That's why I say, again, it's a procedural thing, but it would have been nice to try to get something in place during 2023. They didn't pay cash? Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that, for sure, no, I mean, he admitted that, they didn't pull any. Yeah, and, he just, followed the codes themselves. Wish I could do that.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. Okay.
10.
Uh, 1443, East Genesee. Yeah. Thanks. Will I need it?
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Never better, thanks.
Good, good. So you're here for 1443 East Genesee Street? Okay. If you can just pull the mic up just a little bit, that'd be great.
Yes.
Okay, if I can swear you in, if you could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Mirza Tihic.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. 1443 East Genesee Street. So let me just take a peek here. This is, what type of building is this?
It used to be two residential, and it was used by a learning place. They had their offices there. So we are making a community center as well. We made the first floor, they remodeled it, using it for students together, events, networking, and then upstairs is the office.
Okay, all right. So let me read in a couple of numbers here. We've got a current tentative assessed value of $105,000. Let me just make sure. $105,000. Do we have a land value on that? Not critical, but.
Not, no,
Okay.
sorry.
All right. That would be a market value of 168,000. And then, is this a full exemption?
Yes.
Full exemption. Was this exempt prior? Was it denied?
No, this is a brand-new one that was, we didn't have, they have submitted additional paperwork that was required that wasn't submitted with the original. So that's kind of, and that seems to be in order, and you basically just said what the property's being used for, right? You said the first floor is the community center and upstairs is like your office?
It's
and-
the offices, and the first floor has a praying place as well, because they do prayers during those events as well.
And how often is it basically used every day?
It's being used every day, especially during the semester, like when the semester is going on. In the summer, on and off, because a lot of the students
Right.
go back and forth.
Okay. So,
But being we just finished all their modeling, as January, it's been used almost on a daily basis.
Okay.
Given also that they use it for prayer as well there, so it's always daily prayers there as well.
So it's just a confirmation of its usage.
And just to double check, do you want the bills to go to the 527 Jamesville, or do you want them to go to the park?
5 to 7 Jamesville.
Okay, that is correct. Okay.
Because that's the mailing address for the board, for the directors, for the
Okay.
non-for-profit.
When you say bills, what does that mean?
The tax bills, because I wasn't sure if they were getting everything they should. But we have at the 527 Jamesville, but that is the correct, so we have it correct.
And so even though it's fully exempt, you still send tax bills, or am I?
Well, because you still have like a flushing charge or a county sewer charge on the county side, things like that.
Okay.
Sidewalk charge.
Given that the offices will be there, because we are remodeling it, we can also go to 1443 either
Yeah,
way.
you just we'll leave it at Jamesville.
Yeah,
If you want to
okay.
change, we'll change it whenever you're ready, but,
Okay.
yeah, that seems to be okay with us.
My question, was this exempt when the Learning Center owned it?
A couple, not for a few years, they let it
Yeah, 'cause
lapse.
yeah.
So back it was, and then at least 2 years, I believe, it's been taxable, or it was taxable.
No, we made an offer on the house about 2 years ago, but given that they had a lot of internal inconsistencies with the board and the name changes, it took us 2 years to close. I think that's the 2 years. Yeah, but they end up paying all the taxes, and we've been paying since we took ownership, I think last year.
Yeah, it should be, the city will, yeah, as long, there was the IRS letter, and all of that has been submitted, so we're
Okay.
okay with that.
Okay, sounds like the city's okay with the application, and they'll send you a letter first week of April. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You
Have a rest- great-
didn't need any help
Or luck.
from above, that's right.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
You're looking to do the Raydag farewell tour this year.
So when's the sun? What?
Is today your birthday? Happy birthday.
That's your last birthday, right?
In a non-morbid
So when
way.
they come in, they hand in their grievance.
It is my
Shall-
last,
When Society of Concord comes in, they're bringing in their grievance. So, okay.
39. My first 39th birthday.
There you go, that's a better way to say it. Your last birthday did a little more.
Yeah, no,
than-
that's, my husband said he was gonna put something up on Facebook, but he thought
Yeah.
That something was wrong with
Yeah.
me or that I was in a bad situation.
But normally he still gives it a shot. But his name is. Yeah. Well, and I also. Going. I don't, yeah. His name's not on. So
Never do anything like I was watching other people do it. I think I should probably call the police.
Sure.
Are you guys gonna deliberate next week? Carl's on vacation, so you're probably not.
We weren't planning on it.
So do you want us to schedule a couple of those inspections that you requested next week? 224 Harrison.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Others, I'm sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I can be, I've got a few things going, but I'll just let me know. Yeah, if I can be there. I'll go.
What are you singing?
Yeah, if I can, I will. That's down, Michelle. A lot this year. Seems like it.
Commercial nonprofit attorney days on Fridays. We're not gonna see that in 25.
Yeah, let's blame that on John, not you and I.
John's the one who suffers. He usually works remotely on Fridays.
We're making it
Settling a lot
about
of things,
John.
Is that what you're saying?
No, it's
No,
not. He wants
not a
to-
word.
He wants to be here to protect us.
It's Matt and I that are like, Friday, what were we thinking?
Trevor on vacation.
It's a vacation of sorts. If Foyle
Yeah.
can be considered a vacation.
Oh, okay, okay. He's been reassigned. still shows up.
The next one of you to resign is going to be pulled by Ed. Back to the board.
All right.
Only to see one particular person.
Did you guys overlap at any point with Ed?
Yeah, Joe and I did.
You've been here since '96, and you've been here since 2000,
You've been there-
2001?
Yeah, us, I think '01. Was it 2000?
Too long ago.
When did you,
We
when-
sat on the board together.
yes, yes.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Anderson
Billy,
Lee.
yeah, Billy Anderson.
Oh, then, yes,
Well, true to you, Dell, had her, and that other gal there, yes, Carolyn. Yeah, so, yeah, no, there was a few, yeah.
For a while, it was me, Joe, and Bill Anderson, right? I think it was just
Three of us for what, a year or two? Yeah. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Hi, how are you? Good.
You're here for
Get the
910
grievance that I sent?
Madison?
So, that's the problem with our mail goes to the county first. It doesn't go. So,
Yes, I afternoon and complete the thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to swear you both in. If you could raise your right hands. State your name for the records.
Diane Sachs.
Jeffrey Lefkowitz.
You both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, great, thank you. All right, so this is 910 Madison Street. This is a religious institution. And let me... Okay, so we have a current tentative assessed value of $2,600,000. Land value, not that it matters, but. Okay.
oh, actually, 1,750,000.
$1,750,000. You? That would be a market value of $4,160,000 from the assessed value of $2,600,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is unknown. Is this a full exemption? Okay, and this is what? A church?
Synagogue.
Synagogue?
Yeah.
Okay. And was there, I've got the application.
It was late, so. It was removed.
Okay. So do you have anything to submit other than the application?
No, you've got everything. You've got the form I received yesterday afternoon.
I don't have anything
Oh, you don't?
other than the
Oh, you've got
application.
I
that.
have, yeah.
I can give you this. I've got a copy of it.
Well, we should probably have something for the file, but, okay. Yeah, if that's, yeah. Great, thank you.
I do have a question. The parking lot, is the rent being received from the students up at the university? Do you rent part of that back?
We don't rent it. They pay us, they give us a donation, what they can to
There's
use
not
the,
there's no lease in place of.
there's no lease.
And is it fairly a monthly donation type thing?
And do we know what the donation is?
$120
$120?
per month.
And how many students donate?
Between 15 and 20.
Well, it's $120 per
Per
person.
month, per student.
Oh, kind of sounds like rent.
When a student asks if they can park there, we tell them that parking is available, there's a limited number of spots, it's available. And we normally ask if they would be willing to pay a donation. And they say, generally, what is the standard donation? Well, most people give about this small. Most are pretty good about it. 'Cause
Yeah. If they can't, then we're happy to talk to them about it.
So it is a back and forth. Okay.
And is it all 12 months, or is there nothing when the kids aren't there, like in the summertime?
When they're not there, there's nothing, yeah.
I mean, that's a good portion of, you know,
Yeah. No,
I mean, so, but now you have to have the property, you know, well, maybe not this winter, but in theory, plowed and so on. I mean, you have it anyways, because you're still,
Anyway, for our
there's still
congregants.
things going on in the,
Correct.
Yeah, it's still fully functional. It's a Senate
oh yeah, any closer to selling, closing?
Well, I would like to think that we will get good news very soon. I'm hoping in a couple of months. It's been dragging on for 5 years, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
what's that? What is?
They're selling, they've been trying to sell it.
It's been under contract for sale for a long time. There were long delays, just all the approvals, and all that. That's all been resolved. Just waiting for
All right, so as far as this, rent in lieu, is it an issue? What,
We probably want to give a little more careful thought to lease versus donation. The optics of, Range Rovers with Connecticut tags parked on a wholly exempt property in exchange for money is a bad one. As a matter of black letter law, space leased for parking for non-core purposes, it meets the exemption. There is a lot of weight there. I don't know. We're going to discuss it more internally. I would say that this probably shouldn't bear on the board's thing, but just as a matter of soothing concerns, anything that's reflected on this roll won't be reflected on city school bills until July 1st and not counted until January 1st. Based on what I hear, everything, the transaction will have closed by then.
Yes.
So hopefully it's all academic. But on tax status, it is a little bit, full exemption. At least to the parking situation.
I'm not sure what that really means. Like
Yeah.
you say, full exemption.
Well, that not insignificant portion of the property is given over to give a use that doesn't qualify. That is the parking exchange for market rent.
I would probably say that if that were the opinion, we'll just terminate, assuming we're there. I think this is all going to be academic.
I think so, I hope so.
Yeah.
We just, if we're still there, allow students to park there.
And would this be from the next academic year? Okay. July.
Yeah. So I think either way,
Either way, we'll
it'll be
terminate it.
resolved.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
Thank you very much.
okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So at this point, with the current
Good luck with your,
bill that was received, just so I know the process.
Oh, I don't think there should have been a bill.
Do we have a bill or no, or there is no bill?
No, there's
Okay,
no
no,
oh,
this
never
wouldn't
mind.
start till like July, and then.
Yeah.
We can send you one if you.
We can send you mine.
Put it in the same mail that the grievance cabinet.
Yeah, that's the problem, is all the, yeah.
Yeah, so at this stage, I think we're on the same footing. So we're going to, we'll figure that out. The city will send you a notice first week of April.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
The whole donation is a different. I think that's.
Yeah, it's been ongoing for a while.
Right.
All kinds, all kinds. Yeah, no, that's what he's saying, that if it doesn't close, then they'll stop allowing. Correct, that's correct too, because it goes, July 1st.
They never get the notices. They never get the because nobody's there. That's what.
Right, right.
At $150 a car. Pay a lot of taxes. That's assuming 15 to 20. We've seen more cars than that. I walked down Madison Street, I didn't get taxes.
Yeah, right. I'm sure it was underestimated. Really?
It's a big lot. The lot's 20 cars deep. They've got big center aisle and then one's in the periphery. No, it's not usually full. It's a lot closer to full than it is half full.
Oh,
Boys charging $240 a space in the garage. $150 is a deal. Really? Yeah, 505 Walnut, I think it's $240.
and I'm, been out of it for a while, but is that a month? Yeah. Donation. Okay.
Alternate side parking restrictions and the possibility of getting clipped or something like that. Probably good money. Of course, if you don't pay it, your parents pay, I guess that's
Right.
calculus. Yeah, that's right. Just simple arbitrage and gamble that some meter maids are not going to find you. Which in my experience, they don't seem to.
They were coming into the. Okay, makes sense. Did they ever finish that? No, the one on Jamesville.
Philip. I'm gonna go top it off.
Oh, yeah, okay. What was that? That's right, you get your mail. Thank you very much.
I don't know, it says Syracuse Precinct President.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing, probably garbage.
Yeah, probably.
If you all want to come up, or who's speaking, or, okay. We can get a third chair if you want. Okay, there. Okay. All right. This is 175 West Brighton Ave. Okay. I have 175
Well,
out here.
173 is one of the doors, and 175 is the other door, so it's the same building.
Okay, same building, 170, yeah, you have 173 on your sheet. I have 175 on the file. Okay, if you both could raise your right hands, state your name for the record.
My name is Robert Bryant.
Edward Spear?
You both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
I do.
Okay. Let's see here. So this is 173-75 West Brighton Ave. It is a civic, charitable, and fraternal organization. What type of building is it? Is it a one-family
It's an
house?
old church building.
It's an old church building?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just, so we have a current tentative assessed value of $50,000 with a land value of $17,000. That would be a market value of $80,000.
Well, it shows separately on some of the states, on some of the county records, it shows the land value. It shows a total value of 15,000, or 50,000, I'm sorry, with 17 being the land and the other 32. So,
Yeah, well, you want to zero in on the 50,000 is what they're saying the assessed value is. So then with the 62.5%, it would bring the market value to $80,000 is what the city thinks it's worth. But hold that thought, because I think it's an exemption issue, is that right?
Yes.
Full exemption?
Yes,
Full
Yep.
exemption? Okay. And then the petitioner feels that the fair market value is $17,000, but once again, the request is for a full exemption on this property. So I have the application. Looks like you purchased it for $15,000 and back in 1969 or 1970. And that is about it. Okay, so what takes place at this prop? Was this a denial or?
So I would say a disgruntled board member, is that how we want to, called us up and it was exempt, called our department, spoke to Tom, and said that the property is now going to be for profit. So we denied it on that basis, but come to find out, there's more to it than that. It was a disgruntled board member.
right.
And so we wanted them to file their paperwork over, but he was an attorney, right? The attorney, did you find the paperwork?
we don't know.
Did
I
you
thought
find
that-
any, so we gave him whatever paperwork we had, like his, I don't even remember, was it your articles of incorporation?
Yes.
And we thought that maybe y'all would have been able to reach out to him and have him here today. I don't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't,
We don't
I don't even know
who
who
the
it
attorney
was.
is that
We-
represented us, so.
The disgruntled board member is He
assumption.
came to Syracuse University with the idea, he's studying law at Syracuse University. Now, how far along he is in his studies, I don't know. But I think he likes to represent himself as a lawyer. But whoever called in, they represented themselves. It may have been a lawyer because we don't know who called in. Because we were told that our lawyer had called in and said that we would be using our building differently. It's
Right.
the same. We're using it exactly as it was used previously. So
Which is,
we
can
were
you just, so
wondering
it's
who the
charitable
lawyer
and.
was that, we know what is the name of the lawyer that called in?
Yeah,
That's what we would like to know.
Yeah, and that was probably, I will say he was extremely convincing to Tom, and Tom just, so with that being said, all the paperwork is in now. And the use is still exactly the same where it's a private,
And the thing is, we're an organization, Masonic Temple, to where yearly we hold elections, so therefore the overseer of the laws changes yearly. So that's where, I believe our confusion coming in at, being that, I'm the overseer this year, so I was just elected in December. So the previous person that went out for some reason, he had a gripe with some of the members within there, and this is what we believe is the outcome of it. I don't have any concrete proof as to who made the phone call, other than if y'all keep recordings or if somebody took the name of the lawyer that called. I don't know. I don't have a clue. But it is baffling to us that, we were granted, the nonprofit status, and then all of a sudden when we go for renewal, it was pulled back, so that is very troubling to us, and we're trying to understand and figure out why.
Yeah, but you're attesting under oath that the building, what it was in December, it's now in January, February, same exact thing?
Same exact
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Same exact usage?
Yes.
And whoever this person is has nothing to do with this city. We're not going to get involved in your stuff. That's something you'll have to take care of. But you're
We're okay.
satisfied
Yep.
that the full exemption is okay?
Yes.
And so nothing's changed as far as
No,
tax
sir.
status?
No, sir.
And it looks like we definitely appreciate you coming in. The city acknowledges that nothing has changed, and hopefully you find out what transpired.
Yes, and at this point right now, we're just trying to move forward on this end right here, and hopefully we put that behind us. But we do want, for the record, to know that our organization does have an election yearly, and the officers change. So, whoever that officer is usually the one that will be representing our members in a situation like this. And
but you want the mailing address as far as any type of correspondence to go right to the building though, right? Not to your house, it's right to, yeah, okay, yeah.
And the mailing address we use is the 175.
Okay.
The city official address
we
is
call it-
173.
Of course we do, because,
But we use the 175.
I'll see if I can fix that. So,
Okay,
but yeah,
all right.
we're all set as far as we're,
Yeah, because they've got you're going to try to change
Yeah.
that, or, okay.
yep.
We appreciate your consideration. We appreciate the time that you've given us and the consideration you've given us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming in. The city will
thank
send you
you.
a notice first week of April.
Okay.
But it appears that everything
Yeah,
is
you're all
as
set.
it should be.
All right, so do we resume as
Yep.
usual? Okay.
We're gonna recommend that everything stays exactly the same.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, you're very welcome.
Thank you for coming.
No problem.
I feel bad for that person if you end up finding it. I'll tell you that right now. We're on your side, don't worry about it. That was was a big man. Yes, just a little.
I feel bad that Tom didn't get his name. It was very convincing that he was the attorney.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's good he didn't get the name.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere out there. Yeah. He's 16.
So are you saying that they're assuming that they know who took the paperwork, so they're assuming that it's him, but they don't have any proof, like he said? Yep. Interesting.
A lot of Ed stories. We can tell them.
I'm sure somebody Googles my name, there will come up.
Oh, yeah, I knew he looked familiar. Okay. Andrew, right? Was it today?
Yes.
Oh, happy birthday.
Tonight we'll probably just go to Blarney Stone for the burger and beer special and the Q's game. But we'll probably, somewhere.
I saw the line on TV. That's crazy. Just scoot right to the house.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's right. There you go.
My husband's like, are you sure that this line goes in? Because why wouldn't people wait in this line? I'm like, because this is for the non-idiots.
Okay, looks like we've got, four, 5 on South Salina Street. Okay. Good, how are you? I'm gonna swear you in, but should we be reading all these in together or separate situations?
They're all together.
They're all
For-
together?
Yeah, it's actually one building, which,
Okay, okay. There's just a bunch of different
yes,
addresses,
a
but one
bunch of
building.
addresses.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll swear you in and then I'll read all 5 of them in and then I'll turn it over to you. Okay. If you can raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Michael Sims?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay, great. So once again, we have 5 properties on South Salina. And I will, there are 5 files. Appears to be one property. First one is 800 South Salina Street. And, okay. Okay, so I have them broken down. It looks like got the total, but for 800 South Salina Street,
That is actually a parking lot across the street from the building.
okay, that's good to distinguish then. So this is a commercial parking lot, current tentative assessed value of 190,000. Probably the same land value, more than likely. Okay. then we have a market value of that $304,000. And then we have zero, and that's based on a full exemption
Correct.
request.
Yes.
Okay. So then we have 801-09 South Salina Street. What portion is this? This is part of the building?
This is part of the building.
Okay.
The 801, actually, all the way down to 831 is all one building.
All one building? Okay. All right, very
Or
good.
actually, yeah, I think it's 831.
Yeah, that's what I have. Okay. So this particular portion of the building, current tentative assessed value of $1,028,500. Land value, or not worried about that at this point, okay. Market value of $1,645,600. And again, this is a full exemption. Next one is 811-15 South Salina Street. We have a current tentative assessed value of $658,300. That's a market value of $1,053,280. And again, full exemption. Then we have 817-29 South Salina Street. Current tentative assessed value, $2,300,000. That would be a market value of $3,680,000. And full exemption. Again, all part of the same building, ending up with 831 South Salina Street. Current tentative assessment, $192,000. And that would be a market value of $307,200. And full exemption as well. Request. Okay, what, was this,
Denial.
this was a denial?
Because of their new building, so I guess part of the situation is if the city could request a walkthrough just to see what's still in those existing properties, and there are, if they're still, you're still in there, correct?
Yep. Actually, that's where I work.
Okay.
I'm still there. Part of our services moved across to 930, what I'll call the traditional health center services, podiatry, adult medicine, pediatrics. The services that stated what we call 819, which is this one building that goes from 801 to 831, was our quick care, which is a urgent care lookalike, our care management program, which is a outreach that takes our patients and makes sure that they're getting all of the care that they need, and our mental health and substance abuse services are still over there. Right now, we do rent out, which has always been on the rolls, a portion of the building to services that are in collaboration with us. So we have Access Dental there. They make dentures for our dental program. Obviously, they're a for-profit company. They make dentures for everybody else too. But that was a collaborative agreement. We also rent out some spaces, small spaces to insurance companies, United Healthcare, Molina. That was so our patrons could, our participants could get healthcare if they needed it. Problem is we're actually losing those right now because they want to be in the health center, and we didn't, when we planned 9:30, we didn't have a area for them to go into. The thought was they were going to stay over at 819 with our other areas. And the other renter is the pharmacy, which is, of course, obviously, for our 340B program. And we're looking to either expand that or bring that in-house. Again, the only areas that's going to rent it out is everything that is in collaboration with Syracuse Community Health Center.
So it sounds like, so how much of the, this building is still being occupied and in use?
I would say 50% right now.
50%?
Yeah, there is definitely some, a lot of offices that were in the back are obviously, those people have moved over to 930. And the upstairs is probably only about 25% in use. Downstairs, 75%, upstairs, 25%. So that's where I'm getting the 50. What we plan to do, our plan for this building is to renovate the building, expand the quick care, because that is actually what our focus is going to be. Going forward, that seems to be, instead of planning a doctor's appointment, people are using the quick care more than they're using the traditional services in the city. And then we're going to expand the other two areas for our substance use and mental health programs, what we call CAPS, and the care program, care management program. So those are going to have larger footprints than they currently have now. And that was basically the whole premises of us opening 9:30 was that we have expanded outside of our capacity of that building. And then upstairs in 819, or that building that goes from 801 to 831, we are going to renovate that, and that is where all the support's going to be. Myself, IT, facilities, all of those people will be located there centrally once we get that all renovated. Again, this is hopefully the 3 to 5 year outlook. Transformation grants from New York State going to help with this. Other funding from state, federal. But that's the outlook. And again, as she said, would happy to have anybody come through and look at what we got, what we have planned as a vision.
The original thought that 9:30, did you say?
Yeah.
Was going to house everything?
Nope.
No, it was
No.
always a plan.
It was, there was always the plan. So I've only been there about a year and a half. But my understanding was that was always the plan, was to have both buildings. The programs that have stayed there at 819 were always intended for.
And your thought was that you thought everything was moving over?
So if I could, I have your contact information. That's on the grievances. Mr. Sims, it was,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have some kind of contact on there.
I have 430-1708.
Nope, it might
I'll
be,
take it.
I'll give you my cell phone number,
Okay.
315
Yep.
447 6783.
Okay. All right, I will get in touch with you probably sometime next week to take a walkthrough.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so, sounds like, well, per the walkthrough, and then the city will send out some notices first week of April.
Okay.
5 separate notices.
Okay.
All right, thanks for
Thank you
coming in.
very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. What do you want?
Hey, Andrew.
How are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you. All right. So we got a bunch of properties here. Is this the last petitioner?
Oh, wait, there's another 30.
It's tomorrow.
I think Debbie's representing them too.
She's gonna sleep over.
That's right.
Okay, so this is tiny homes, bunch of properties, all the same argument, or?
No, slightly different, so I would like to actually speak about them. I'm going to divide them into 3 groups.
Okay, okay. All right, you want to give me properties as far
Sure,
as the
sure.
first group?
And should I kind of outline how I'm thinking we'll
Yeah,
divide
why
them?
don't I, let me swear you both in,
Sure.
and then we'll get her on record here. If you can raise your right hands, state your name for the record.
Deborah Sullivan, Barclay Damon.
Andrew Lanetta, a tiny home for good.
You both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, so, yeah, let me, and then I'll act accordingly.
So, probably the board is well aware that affordable housing is very difficult in the city of Syracuse. These applications concern a request for a 420-A exemption, which is wholly exempt. And for purposes of today's discussion, I would like to divide the properties into 3 groups. The first group I'll call, which I'll call Group 1, are those where the rents are below market. Group 2 will be, there are 3 properties for which construction is underway but not yet completed. And the last group will be those for which the rent is at least closer to market. I'm not sure it is market, but it's closer to market. So I think I'd like to proceed in that fashion.
Sure. All right, so if you want to give me Group 1, but give me a second to locate it.
And are those, do you think, in the same order that we sent them over? Because maybe, okay, okay. Okay, so the first one, which should be the first one you have there, is 112-114 Rose. Then if you skip ahead, skip the next 2, and then is the next one you have 210 Bellevue? Okay, and then skip the next one, and then 218 Bellevue. Okay. Next one should be 336. Oh, this one.
Bellevue, 210 Slocum, 336.
Did we talk about 218 Bellevue yet? Yes. 218, okay. Then the next one I need is 222 Bellevue. Looks like my own. So 222 Bellevue, then 210 Slocum. 336 Matson. And you should have 508, but skip that one. Well, actually, no, I do want to talk about that one and put it in the group one, please. Skip the next two, and then you should be at 336 Green. And 615 Ostrander. 516 Rich. 518 Rich. 522 Rich. And then do you have three at the very end? Those should go in their own pile. And they should be 116 Wall, 362 66 Richmond, I'm sorry, and 608 Richmond. Those are those are going to be group two. And then the remaining ones should be group three.
Which I have is 4351 South Salina, 208 Bellevue, 212-14 Bellevue, 943-45 Highland, and 334 Green.
So each of those is Group B, as it were? Those are,
Group three.
okay, those are
The last ones I just read.
quasi-market.
Yeah.
South Salina, 208 Bellevue,
South Salina,
212 to 14 Bellevue. Highland, 334 Green, but not 336.
Correct.
And then 116 Wall and the two in Richmond are in development. Beautiful.
So I think that will make discussing each of these a little bit easier.
Okay, that's fine. So group one is the largest group, and these are the ones that are below market.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then I probably should read them all in together.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
it's basically the same argument, so to
Yes.
speak. Okay, let's do that, and then I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll go back to group two and group three. And I made dinner reservations, so we'll be ready at that time. Depending on how long you have to talk, it's okay. Our afternoon is wide open. Till one, okay. All right. So, 112-14 Rose Avenue. Okay, this is on, okay, it's on the bottom of our sheet, and then we've got a second sheet, okay. So once again, 112-14 Rose Avenue. Current tentative assessed value of 22,000 with a land value of 1,500. That would be a market value of 35,200. And for all intents and purposes, the value is zero given the full exemption request. Okay. Next one is 210 Bellevue Avenue. We have that's right, we'll skip. 210 Bellevue Avenue. Current tentative assessed value is 16,000 with a land value of 1,000. That would be a market value of 25,600. The market value is not applicable, if you will. Full exemption. Okay, next property, 208, I'm sorry, 218 Bellevue Avenue. Current tentative assessed value 16,000 with a land value of 1,500. That would be a market value of 25,600. Estimate of fair market value of the petitioner. Full exemption. To Bellevue. Current tentative assessed value 16,000 with a land value of 1,500. Petitioner, I'm sorry, the fair market value would be 25,600. Estimate of market value from the petitioner is not applicable, full exemption. Two-ten Slocum Ave.
Excuse me, did I say 222 Bellevue? Did we,
Just read
read
that.
that one?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, 210 Slocum Ave. Current tentative assessed value 44,000 with a land value of 3,000. That'd be a market value of 70,400. And this is a full exemption request. Market value not applicable. .336 West Matson. Current tentative assessed value 23,000 with a land value of 2,500. Applicable market value is 36,800. Petitioner's estimate of fair market value is not applicable and full exemption request. .508 Marquette Ave. Current tentative assessed value 25,000 with a land value of 3,000. That'd be a market value of 40,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. Full exemption request. .336 Green Street. Current tentative assessed value 25,000 with a land value of 3,000. Market value would be 40,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. Full exemption request. .615 West Ostrander. Current tentative assessed value 20,000 with a land value of 1,500. That'd be a market value of 32,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. Full exemption request. .516 Rich Street. Current tentative assessed value 18,000 with a land value of 2,000. That would be a market value of 28,800. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and is requesting a full exemption. 518 Rich Street. Current tentative assessed value 34,000 with a land value of 2,000. That would be a market value of 54,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. A full exemption request. Last property in Group 1. 522-24 Rich Street. Current tentative assessed value 18,000 with a land value of $2,900. That would be a market value of 28,800. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. Hence a full exemption request. Will complete, I believe, Group 1, and I turn it over to you.
Okay, and my initial remarks actually will apply to all of them, and then where there are some nuances particular to the group, I will bring that up at the time. But for all of the exemptions, there are three things you have to show. You have to show that the owner is organized for a charitable purpose. The second thing you have to show is that the property is being used for that, in the furtherance of that purpose, and you also have to show that there's no pecuniary profit going to the officers or directors. Now, in addition to the actual grievance complaints, you should have a big packet, might be the one under there, with exhibits 1 through 12, which apply to all of them. And you have, I won't read off all 12 documents, but some of the key ones are the certificate of incorporation and the bylaws, which set forth that their purposes are to provide permanent affordable housing for residents. You have the 501c3 determination, the financial statements, the 990 form, and then various tenant selection and rent policies, as well as a copy of the lease, and then some other documents that we'll talk about for the other groups. So we believe we have shown that the properties in this group, because the rent is below market, the Court of Appeals in matter of adult home at Erie Station, it's a 2008 Court of Appeals decision, said when you rent at less than the market rate, that is a charitable purpose. There are some nuances even within this group that I would like to talk about. And we're going to talk about the rents. And if it's okay, I'll talk about them one by one here. At 112-114, the rents are for each of the units are $300. You will find that on the exemption application that is attached to the grievance.
Which address is this?
It's actually for all of them. The actual rents are listed in the exemption application. So these rent for $300. That's correct, Andrew? Yeah, okay. The next one, which is 210 Bellevue,
Just stay on the first one for a
Oh,
second.
yes.
So, do we have a picture of this house? What's the size? How do we know it's below market?
Sure.
These are smaller houses,
Quite small. Each unit is 284 square feet. They're connected together. It's essentially an efficiency apartment on a small postage stamp of a lot. They were built in 2016.
what should they be renting?
I think probably efficiency in that apartment, in that neighborhood, would probably go for 500, 550. Others, I think that people around this table would probably actually have a better idea than I
There
would,
isn't
but-
so much a market for these micro units, but that's, I think, spot on for what an efficiency would be part of it. So I think we do concede, but agree with Andrew. This is below.
Just by way of background, I found this very interesting. Andrew explained to me today, I asked how he came up with this idea for tiny homes, and he had worked at a men's shelter for 8 years, and he asked the residents what they would like. So instead of, being in a big apartment complex and affordable housing, they wanted their own home, right?
Totally fair.
So,
Since you cited the Erie Station case,
Yes.
is there a uniform basis for determining market rent in that case?
not that I'm aware of, because it probably varies from community to community. And I think there's a sense, I see a $300 market rent, and
I don't argue that it's low. I
Yeah.
argue that, I argue the relevance.
Pardon? Argues, sorry?
The relevance, if there's no uniform basis for determining market rent.
Well, I would say the relevance is that, that is what shows that you have a marketable, that you have a charitable purpose if it's below market. And obviously, if there's disagreement on market, that's one thing. But I thought, at least based on my experience in doing some exemption work, that did not draw my attention as being, oh my goodness, why are you applying for an exemption? When we get to the last group, I would like to address that separately, because $700, which is what some of them are, or $694, did get my attention. But Erie addresses that issue as well, because it actually had almost two opinions in one. But certainly, if the city feels this is somehow at market, we can have that discussion and move it into the third group. But at least based on my experience in doing this, I thought 300 to me struck me as below market. Is that fair?
That's a fair characterization. We do need to work quite a bit more with law. This has all come together pretty quickly from our perspective. So we do, A, want to review Erie Station, B, want a legal opinion. I think this does hinge on the extent to which below market and charitable might not be synonymous, I think. I don't spend as much time in this room in February as the board does, but I spend enough time to see that most people who sit in these seats think that they're charging below market. So I know they're not all organized for charitable purposes, and I don't think the use is arguably charitable. But that might take us a little farther down without your having had the chance to fully present as you expected to. So.
And I guess I would also point out that, and you have the tenant selection policy, they have to meet HUD requirements. So it's, if somebody does not fall within that level of need, they cannot be a tenant here. The other thing that is unique is services are offered, are not offered, are required, and that's right in the lease, because a lot of these people need help getting on their feet, and that is part of the lease for all of them. It'll come into play more when we talk about group 3, but all of them fall in that category. So we've attached the tenant selection policy, which specifically says, you have to be eligible based on HUD requirements to live here. So I think that, coupled with what I would argue on its face is a below market rent, satisfies the requirements.
Well, or have somebody, because we'll want to
Keep them
keep
separate.
these separate. Okay. Good. Or I can bring them down like that. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. 210 Bellevue, same thing, $300. And Andrew, do you know offhand how many units in that one?
Just one.
Just one, okay. 218 Bellevue, the rent, and I think with a couple of exceptions, everything that I'm going to talk about is under $400. This one is $370 for 218 Bellevue. $222 Bellevue is $300. 210 Bellevue is, oh, Slocum, I'm sorry. 210 Slocum, each unit is $300.
That's a 4-unit?
And did you say at the time this application was filed, Andrew, one of the units was not in, was not leased up? Okay. 336 Matson. These are 2 units, each of which rent for $400. Is there anything you'd like to add on that one, Andrew?
Just with a couple of these, the reason why it's not 300 is because we, as an organization, cover utilities for the first year a tenant joins us, and then they pick up the utilities after they re-sign the lease. Some of our tenants owe a lot of money to National Grid, so National Grid won't put it in their name, so we just up the rent a little bit to make up the utility difference. So that's why you see 370, why you see 400 there.
That's helpful.
It's basically around 300.
Matson was a pair of tiny homes, or was that a reno of an
No, that
existing
was a
structure?
new, it's similar to Rose Ave, like a duplex
Okay.
setup.
508,
Matt, do you have a question on that, or?
No, I was just
Oh, okay,
double checking
okay,
to see whose
sorry.
ward it was. I've never laid eyes on it.
Oh, okay.
so 508 Marquette, I would say falls more in a hybrid between groups 1 and 3. This one, Andrew, can you talk about the rent, please?
Sure. We have one tenant who does not pay rent. He does a lot of janitorial grounds work for us in lieu of rent. And the other tenant came on board with us, was receiving a subsidy up until recently, in which he no longer gets that subsidy because he's not documented. He is having a hard time. We are having a hard time finding other sources for him. So right now, rent is at 0 until we work with him to figure it out.
Turned over from last year. That was a more market rent, I think, than last year's rent.
Yeah, that his subsidy was, market like $650.
And that, well, that'll be into our next discussion when we get to group 3, but just as by, just so you understand, it's not the tenants paying market rent, because all these are, HUD eligible tenants, so they, to the extent you see a rent that is above what might be closer to market, it's because the tenant has a subsidy, not that they're paying for it. The next two, M and, let's see, 336 Green and 336 Green and 615 Ostrander. The rents are $650 and $692 respectively. So I would like Andrew to address why they are put in the below market rent category.
Yeah, each of those homes is a multi-bedroom house, not a tiny home. Each are about 1,000 square feet, multi-bedroom, young mother, 2 children, each of them. And we thought that coming to an agreement with those tenants, that was a dollar figure that they felt they could hit.
And the last 3, well, 516 Rich Street Also, this one rents for 350?
350, yep.
350. And the last two in this group, 518 Rich and 522-24 Rich, have rents of 300 each. 518 is a duplex, and 522-24 is a single unit. Rent is 300.
So not all of these are the classic tiny home setup?
Correct. Yeah, some are, of these are, I mean, we have a new construction house here, we have a rehab, and some, because of how they're zoned, we have to share walls, so it's pretty much considered like a two-family home. So for example, like 112, 114 Rose Ave is a two-family home, for lack of a better zoning word for it.
Why is it grouped in with tiny homes?
Maybe it shouldn't be. I mean, I just think that's how it always has been since we've started. It might be more appropriate.
Is it a regular two-family setup?
Oh, yeah. It's, I mean, 112, 114 Rose Ave is, each unit has their own entrance, their own exit. There's no, there's a shared wall, but that's the extent of it. So why it's called a tiny home, I think our name was a tiny home for good since the beginning, and it just has continued to be called that. I think the city recognizes some of these lots, though, as two-family houses. And where we put them, based on the zoning restrictions back then, they had to be considered that.
New York State's characteristically, a generation behind the market as far as property tax goes. Mixed use property tax. So broadly, proper name, a tiny home, has a number of different housing styles, none of which we call tiny homes.
And one typographical error I would like to bring up on 210 Slocum, the rents were shown as 300, 300, and then the last one was shown as 30. There was a zero missing, but they're all 300. Okay? Before we move to the next group, any questions on that? Those.
Generally comports with our understanding from last year. We had Marquette categorized closer to market for the one unit in broad strokes.
And may I ask if there's any dispute on the issue of market rent for this group?
Go on, flesh that out.
Oh, okay. It is, I think at the beginning you said Andrew was not off the mark on characterizing these as below market. Is that?
650 for 506 Marquette is a new build duplex, right?
508?
It's 508, sorry.
508 is a new build. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 650, I think, for a flat over there, for a smaller flat.
For one
That's
bedroom. That's a one bedroom. So that's a
okay. These are these
500
smaller.
square foot one bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's market. That part of the second ward.
And this is the one that it's going down to 300.
Well, it's zero now.
Oh, it's zero.
But, yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna work it to 300.
Zero is definitely below.
We can agree on that point.
Okay, good, move on to group two, I think.
Okay, so group two are those three properties, 116 Wall Street, 362-66 Richmond, and 608 Richmond, in which these are under construction, and the RPTL says that you're.
Let me just read them in if I
Oh,
could.
sure, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot
No.
we had not read them in.
Nope, that's fine. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so 116 Wall Street. Let me just find it out, okay? And we have a current tentative assessed value of 15,000 with a land value of 3,000. That would be a market value of 24,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and requesting a full exemption. That's property in Group 2, 326, I'm sorry, 362-66 Richmond Ave. This is currently assessed for tentative assessed $20,000, with a land value of $9,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $32,000. Scratch that. Current tentative assessed value $20,000 with a land value of $9,000. That would be a fair market value of $32,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable, and therefore requesting a full exemption. Last property in Group 2, 608 Richmond Ave. Current tentative assessed value $20,000 with a land value of $6,900. That would be a market value of $32,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and are requesting a full exemption.
And for these three properties, the real property tax law provides that the property either has to be currently being used for the charitable purpose or in, quote, good faith contemplated. So to support the exemption application, draw your attention to, in that exhibit pack, 10, 11, and 12. These are actually properties for which the city of Syracuse has, I guess it seems like it's in the form of a loan,
By
but,
way of the Home ARP loan program.
and as part of that, they're recognizing these are for affordable housing, right? There's
Well,
restrictions.
as part of that, it's required in which for 15 years, these units are rented to individuals who are facing homelessness based on what we put in our grant application. And if we do not hold up to that bargain, then the loan is, we have to, we go into default and have to pay back that loan. So it is a grant if we continue to if we stick to what we say, which is renting at an affordable rate to those facing homelessness.
Exhibit 10 contains the resolution of the Tiny Home for Good, where they say that for these three properties, that it will be used for supportive housing to individuals and families facing homelessness. Exhibit 11 has all of the plans in terms of showing that, this is not just an idea that's going to be happening sometime in the distant future. In fact, all of these, I think from our conversation yesterday.
They're all under construction.
Okay, and would you like to speak to when they might be
Sure.
done for each one?
116, yeah, the
Yep.
2-unit 116 will be done at the end of March. The 608 Richmond will be complete. It's another 2-family in mid-May. And then we don't anticipate 362 Richmond wrapping up until probably the end of fall. We still don't have permits for that, but we've gone through and done.
Based upon those three exhibits, Andrew's testimony as to where we are in things, we'd respectfully submit we meet the good faith contemplated requirement. Yes.
I mean, I guess this is as good a time as any to point out how unusual this is. There's a lot of providers of housing whose product is subject to 15-year regulatory requirements with HCR. None, to the best of my knowledge, benefits from a nonprofit exemption. I think if we were to sit down and talk about Wall and Richmond, I'd be hard-pressed to argue that there aren't a few vehicles under the private housing finance law that would, assuming common council were to approve, would renew a 15-year abatement plus another 15-year renewal option to abate taxes for that. nonprofit law, I don't know. You can tell we're pretty uncomfortable with that, and have been for a long time now. I just can't think of any analogs locally where we give a full exemption with no end date in sight from taxes.
This might be a good juncture to discuss what you had mentioned to me, which is how, and I realize the structure for tiny homes is a little bit unusual. And based on my conversation with Andrew yesterday, he was explaining that maybe usually people have, what did you call it, a credit shelter?
Well, what Matt was
Yeah.
referring to. Yeah.
And so that is the typical way, but I would respectfully submit it's not the only way. I spoke to someone in my office this morning who handles those sorts of exemptions, and she said typically what they do is they get the 420A, and then when they have like the investors, they then switch to one of those types of exemptions, and then when the 15 years burns off, they then seek exemption under 420-A again, depending on, you know, if they meet the requirements. So although it is maybe unusual, and probably in the typical situation, you've got an apartment building or something, not these.
Scattered site is, I was going to say increasingly popular, but we just wound up doing a deep dive yesterday that uncovered a bunch of these from earlier in the century. So it's, gosh, what does the roll look like right now? I think there's as many scattered site shelter rent properties as there are traditional higher intensity apartments. I don't know.
I never heard the back and forth.
Yeah, that's why I was mumbling and I don't knowing on that. That is, again, highly unusual. I mean, I have not heard of it. We've been doing this for a little longer than I have.
Might depend how long. I've seen some of those agreements that are like 40 years or something, so, but the ones that are 15 are the one my colleague mentioned this morning, where they seek 420 until they get their agreement, and then when the 15 years are up, go back to this.
Matt, I totally understand that logic, and I wish that when a tiny home for good started, we would have had the luxury of applying to the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance to get, you know, a 15-year agreement to build all of these houses. But the thing is that we had to piecemeal this thing together. And I know for the purpose of this meeting, our success as an organization doesn't come into factor here. But the reason why we exist is because the current models that have existed for so long do not work for our tenants. And I can happily say after 8 years, it really is working well for our tenants. But in order to get there, we weren't able to go through the very standard modes and procedures that other not-for-profits that, you know, get shelter rent agreements do. We had to piecemeal all of these different houses together with various funding streams that, you're right, it makes the work for you guys very, very confusing. So as an organization, we are in the midst of an HHAP application, which is to the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. That is our next real plan, and we want to, as an organization, be someone who can work with the Common Council to figure out our taxes. But these last ones, since we started, have just been very different from anything you all have seen, I'm sure. And we just want to figure out a way to make these ones work so that going forward, we can focus on the way in which the city is used to supporting its not-for-profits. That's kind of what our real ask is. But I understand these last ones that have that 15-year agreement probably raise some, you know, alarm bells in your head, being like, there might be another avenue to do that. And you know what, you're probably right. And maybe we explore these ones in that capacity. But I know the earlier ones were grasping at straws at how to best make it.
Yeah, I think policy-wise, you and I are pretty well aligned on this.
Yeah.
Legally, we just, we're pretty far apart. I think we've discussed this. Oh, is this year number 2? This isn't year number 3, is it?
We haven't done that yet.
Okay, I think we can move on
To
to
the
group 3.
last group?
All right, so this is group 3. These are the ones that you believe are above market,
Market or
at market or above. All right. So we have 4351 South Salina Street. And, okay, back to page 2, 4351 South Salina Street. Current tentative assessed value 50,000 with a land value of 28,800. That would be a market value of $80,000. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable. Is requesting a full exemption. .208 Bellevue Ave. Current tentative assessed value 24,000 with a land value of $2,400. Market value 38,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and is requesting a full exemption. -14 Bellevue Avenue. Current tentative assessed value $18,000 with a land value of $1,000. That would be a market value of $28,800. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and is requesting a full exemption. Next property is 943-45 Highland Avenue. Current tentative assessed value $54,000 with a land value of $6,900. That would be a market value of $86,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and is requesting a full exemption. The last property, 334 Green Street. Current tentative assessed value $43,000 with a land value of $2,800. That would be a market value of $68,800. Petitioner believes the fair market value is not applicable and is requesting a full exemption.
So 2 points on these. This group does have rents that on some of the units may approach market rate, but I do want to point out it's not always all or nothing. Let's talk about 4351. That property has 3 units. 2 of them are at 729, but one is at 280. 208 Bellevue, similar situation. One is at 300, one is at 600. 212-14 Bellevue, that is only 1 unit. It is at 694, so we don't have the hybrid situation there. 943, we do have a hybrid there. 1 unit is at 694, and the other 2 are at 350. And lastly, on Green, 334 Green Street, we have 1 of each, 1 at 400, 1 at 720. I would like Andrew to address how how it came about that you are getting those sorts of rents.
Sure. So many of our tenants, as you can see from our tenant policy, come from the coordinated entry list that the county utilizes, which almost ranks those most in need of housing. Most of those individuals have faced chronic homelessness, which is a length of time, and also a co-occurring substance abuse or mental health challenge. All of those higher rents are individuals who have faced that and are also provided with a permanent supportive housing voucher. So it allows them to move into an apartment, and that landlord will get full rent for that. That is because many of the tenants who fill in there have a history of not working at other locations, and also because it's kind of their way to encourage landlords to take some of these tenants. We've done a lot of work with the tenants who fit there to make it work for them. Can see very clearly why it has not worked at other locations, but that's just because the bar in which it takes to keep this person housed is a lot higher than some of our other tenants there. And not only do we recognize that, but the county and a lot of the other service providers have recognized that as well. That comes with partner case management from Helio Health or Liberty Resources, and also our social workers on staff spend a lot of time with those tenants as well to try and make it work.
And the last piece of this is the legal argument, which I will leave this case with you, but this is the Court of Appeals Erie case, which really dealt with two things. And they were two that were combined for purposes of the appeal. One is those that are below market rent, and the court found that to be a charitable purpose. But the other group is this situation like Group 3, where you have something that is either at market or approaching market rent, but there are services being given. And the court in Erie found that even with the market rent, because there were these supportive services that still fell within the charitable, benevolent purpose, and found that the exemption was applicable. So this one I will leave. I realize that probably needs some attention.
Yeah, we'll add that to the file. A lot to review, certainly. City, want to address Group 3?
That answers the question that I was going to ask. And I think that's what we've all been certain. I appreciate you're more thorough than last year with regard to case management and services provided. The existence of services, it sounds like, suggests that this is a charitable endeavor. It's not the provision of housing, it's the service. Is that a fair way to characterize the argument?
Well, I think what my take from the case law is that the issues become a little bit linked because for these people, some of them have substance abuse problems, some of them have behavioral issues. They need that. It's sort of all of it together. They need housing for these people, and these people need services. So I think I would describe it as more the total package is what makes it charitable.
Fair. But what distinguishes a tiny home from everybody else in the community who's providing housing is the mandatory services.
Yes, and that's in the lease.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have to be HUD eligible. I mean, I think that plays into, I guess, the other ones. So although all of these, anybody who lives there has to meet that qualification.
Okay, this gives us more to think about, I think. I think more than we had to go on last year, so that's a good start. As I mentioned, we've had a lot to throw together in the last 2 business days, so we need a little more time.
And I was going to ask, last year, was that the first time you came in?
Yeah, I think it was.
Starting to blur together at this point, but I believe that.
You've got, yeah, I mean, they must blur together for you. Yeah, I believe this was, I believe, was the last time. Last year was the first.
Last year, I thought was the do anything with it. I think we did.
We offered a bunch of reductions, but with respect to the 420, no, I don't, we didn't recommend.
Just our headquarters
South
space
Avenue,
at
that's
twelve
right.
twenty-two South Ave.
Okay, yes. Okay, yep, I remember that to be truthful.
Can I ask a question, just more out of curiosity? If someone does not abide by the lease, like they do not participate in the services you offer, are they evicted?
It takes a lot for us to ask someone to leave. But yes, if they don't abide by the lease agreement, they are evicted. We've only had 5 evictions since our organization has started, and they have all been for, after a lot of work with those tenants to try and.
I think Andrew mentioned the point earlier, and it bears repeating that a lot of these tenants have tried elsewhere, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So this is kind of a unique population of tenants, and, you know, some tenants don't want to be in the big high-rise. They don't want to be at the shelter. So this setup works better for some tenants.
They do want or need to be in the city of Syracuse, though.
That is,
This is where the demand is.
yeah.
Well, we're looking to fairly blindly adhere to the RPTL as we see it, as our friends over here suggest that we see it. I know Joe has twice now in a week expressed concern that we can't help but be aware of, that burdens are shifted every time a 420 exemption is granted. I think our friends in the suburban towns don't wrestle with these problems from an assessment perspective. From a human perspective, flat out haven't been doing their fair share, ever. So, I recognize that you follow the need where it exists.
Sort of. I think that I'd be hard pressed. I think you'd be hard pressed to find one of our tenants who would want to move to Clay.
Sure.
Not because of what happens in Clay, but because their life is here, their services are here.
There are no services, there is no human transportation to speak of, and there's no reason to be there. That I get. But it would be unfortunate, obviously. These things don't happen in a vacuum for the taxpayers of the city of Syracuse to receive that much more tax burden when a portfolio of properties, however low value, go roll Section 8 because Clay doesn't do its job.
Yeah, but
That is not Andrew's problem, I know. It's not a tiny homes problem.
Well, I mean,
but it's a real
we live in
practical
the city,
effect
yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
We all choose to be here.
Right. But by making it harder on providers such as ourselves, I think that it also, I know we have a dozen tenants who would have a super hard time living anywhere else. That would result in a lot more hospital visits, that would result in a lot more time spent in the shelter system, on our streets, panhandling. Like, I think that what we do, sure, it does take a little bit of tax revenue away from the city, but I think that the other cost that we have is hard to assess.
I do have to distinguish that. Not tax revenue away, but just reslicing of the pie. This is all revenue neutral from the city's perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Or placing less of the burden on our
burden
suburban.
shift.
Yeah, I think that the way in which to assess our success is tricky when someone is removed from the shelter situation. Like, I think that there is a huge win when that happens that is really good for our city. I do understand that's not addressing your comments.
Oh, no, and I agree. This is far from a cold look at either dollars and cents or burden shift. The human win is ultimately the most important thing, and something that assessment ought to keep blinders on about. At the same time, because again, the RPTL is what matters here. But I recognize that the chair has brought it up twice in as many days, I think, and we've been sitting here sheepishly, recognizing that sometimes it appears that we don't take those things into consideration. And I don't know that we should, but we do live in a world where that's an important consideration for a lot of us.
We did apply alternatively under 420-B. We believe we meet the A qualifications, but the
What
B
would
is
the category
permissive.
be under B?
And I think it'd be like another one.
Yeah.
Another used, but I believe we meet the charitable one, but I guess if the city felt better under B, that's possible.
We circled around that. We haven't come to any firm conclusion on that. What is charity? There's a lot of subjectivity there. Read a
Honestly,
number
the
of opinions
cases
of
that
council.
do describe it pretty broadly.
Yeah.
Pretty broadly.
I think there's work to be done on our part, but I appreciate that this was a thorough presentation. Reading restatement, get a little more familiarity with related cases. We'll be in touch.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
And
Really appreciate it.
ultimately,
Yeah.
the city will send you a letter first, several letters, first week of April.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming
Appreciate
in.
You want a hand with all?
Oh, that's okay.
It's a lot less than this last year. Volume-wise.
Content.
Content-wise, it was richer. That answered some unanswered questions.
I'm smarter than you. I got the two big ones, and I got actually the three in the middle, so.
Oh, we're so curious. Where did the application go?
Right,
223 East
28
Washington.
or something?
I don't know where those ended up. Yeah,
Whose mailman was that?
And what are they?
Where's your financial?
Nobody's called and said, hey.
Yeah, I mean, it was a stack of 260 pages is what my PDF said, so I don't know, very bizarre. Bizarre, delivered on the 18th of December.
That's right, yeah.
Who
The
would want
recipient had the sense to put it into a shredder.
Yeah.
But the thing I find funny, even if the, or odd, even if the address was off by one digit, they were addressed to you, like, does not the mailman
Something
know
that says
where
city
the
hall.
assessor is?
Never dropped anything off
Our
there
guy's
before.
great.
You would think.
It could have been, I don't think that they could have delivered it to East.
Yeah.
That would have been
Right.
it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it got delivered to West.
So,
Yes.
so strange. I mean, sometimes I expected, FedEx or somebody who's less familiar, but this went overnight mail by the US Post Office. Don't they know where the assessor's office is?
Right, you would think.
Guess you can't take anything for granted.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
There's just one petitioner that did not show up, so I'd like to read it in, and then we'll go from there. This is 1300 South Avenue. This is Community Temple Church, I believe. It is a church, okay. And let me just read in some numbers. We have a current tentative assessed value of $37,000 with a land value of $37,000. And that would be a market value of $59,200. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $5,000, which would be an assessed value of $3,125. Is this an exemption?
Yes.
Is
This
it a
was
parking
denied,
lot?
this was denied. No, it's an actual church
Actual
building.
church, okay. Is their land value correct then?
Land value is 13,000.
13,000. Okay. That's why I said, parking lot, because they had it as the same. Okay, and this is a request for a full exemption. No, full exemption?
Yes.
Request for a full exemption. It was denied due to what?
Due to use, we don't believe the building is occupied.
Okay, and of course, nobody showed up to attest
Correct.
to that. So the paperwork was submitted, it was denied, they set up a hearing, didn't show to answer any questions.
Correct.
So are we requesting a dismissal?
Yes.
requesting a dismissal. We will take that into consideration and make a decision.
Again, I do have information from codes that also says that it's padlocked. They believe, codes believes it's vacant also. There's been no water
I
usage.
was gonna say, is there water turned on?
There's no usage.
No usage, so-
But
Okay.
because I contacted codes and codes went out.
No usage since when, but I know it's as of January 1st, but.
Right, I can find that out, but,
Just curious
okay.
if it's been a while. And was it exempt before?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like they're just not using the building, and obviously there has to be usage for an exemption, for the most part.
Well,
Okay.
according to the water back in 22, it said we are not, this is from the owner, we are not in the building anymore. There was a fire. So,
So it's boarded up and that's
since,
that.
yeah, 2 years.
And there's been no verbal contact. It was just,
We denied it, well, actually, all of their applications came back. The denial, the application itself, and then an attorney filed on their behalf. But then his name is not on the petition, so I don't know if, so.
all right. So you're requesting dismissal. They did not show, and we will take it from there. And I believe, Michelle, that's the last one for today. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting for today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, have a good afternoon, everybody.